because
Okay.
I'm a big Lovecraft fan anyway. So when I went into that town, I was just like, this is so like almost like Lovecraft
I
stuff.
mean, yeah. Shadow over Innsmouth. I mean, Innsmouth or Innsmouth?
Uh, Innsmouth or Innsmouth. It's spelled Innsmouth, but it's Innsmouth.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, just alone some of the covers to the book, because I know it changes.
yeah.
I mean, the towns do look like that.
hmm
I mean,
Well,
I wouldn't say there's like goblin looking sea creatures coming out of the sea and fall out, but I mean, who knows?
well, that's something I love about Lovecraft stories is that he definitely he does like very like mystical monster type stuff, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're reading all this like just horrific things, and then when it hits the end, you're just like, oh well, shit, that sucks.
I mean, it does. I mean, I only own one of his books. I've read some.
Mm-hmm.
There's some on like audio,
Yeah,
but the only one that I've ever really read was the Call of Cthulhu. That
yeah.
was,
Well, even
mm,
the kind of the end of that, like the retelling of them finding the city. It's just like,
mhm.
yeah, they all died, and yeah, he's just like, yeah, I injured him, but you can't really kill an elder god now, can you?
I mean, even if you tried,
Yeah.
you still could.
But even like the end of that story, the main character, he's afraid for his life because
Hmm.
he like believes that he knows too much. But yeah, like I mean, like the Shadow over Innsmouth, the ending for that is just like, oh well, damn, that
Well
sucks.
then,
Um, there's the Shadow Out of Time. You read that one?
yes, I have.
Oh my god, just the end of that one is just like, oh, that sucks to be you, dude. It's, yeah. So and even like some of his like shorter stories Cool Air, um which do you know about that one?
The one you just the Shadow Out of Time.
No, Cool Air.
That's the only one I don't know.
Ooh,
Surprisingly.
that one that one is about a guy who lives in an apartment complex, and he um, realizes that there is a doctor above, in the apartment room above him. To then one day he has a heart attack. He races upstairs to uh, uh, see the doctor, and the doctor treats him and everything. But the doctor's room is like freezing cold, like almost like an ice house. And he's like, "Yeah, what's going on here?" It's like, "Oh, it's for like my chemicals and stuff like that I'm working on." To
Mm.
um, then one day the doctor calls the guy up, and he says like, yeah, my like cooling radiator broke, and I need you to go race to go get ice. So then he keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, to then when he comes back, the whole apartment place is like outside the guy's door, and the main character, he was actually paying somebody to go and fetch more ice for him.
Oh.
To then the then guy he was paying goes in and is so scared he like runs out. So then the guy then goes in, and he sees this like just like disgusting like substance that's like all over the floor, and it was in like the bathroom, and then it went, he notices that it goes from the bathroom to like the middle of the room, to then he finds this like blob, and then he notices that there's a note being written, and the note is from the doctor saying, well, the reason why it's like this is because the doctor was actually dead the whole time, and he was able to stave off death by keeping his room
Cool.
like cold like that. But
Yeah.
because his radiator broke, and temperatures kept rising, death came for him, and it ended that way. I was like, oh well, that sucks.
I am reading a little bit into the plot. It does say that he was dead for 18 years, but he had kept himself preserved in his own apartment.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like the same thing with if you freeze a dead body, they'll look they'll look the same as when they were just got frozen. And even though somebody say like, actually they've been dead for like 2 years, and it's like, oh well, they look like they're just asleep. It's like, yeah, that's the power of freezer. So yeah,
I mean, okay.
Yeah, it was one of those stories that I was just like, oh well, whoops, that sucks. But yeah, like like, I think the stories that he did that really stuck with me was Call of Cthulhu. That was definitely one. Shadow over Innsmouth, Shadow Out of Time, the Dunwich Horror, because that was just weird. And then when you think it's like something happens, that's like, oh well, that's got to be the end. It's like, nope, that's only halfway through, and so you're like, oh shit, it gets worse.
It always gets worse. There's really no good ending with H.P. Lovecraft, I'll be honest with you.
Nope. Nope, not at all. Yeah, the Dunwich Horror, that one is takes place in a town called Dunwich, and there's a family that lives there that they pretty much cut themselves away from the rest of civilization. Sometimes they have to go into town to like get stuff, but everyone thinks like, yeah, they're just weird. And there's like pretty much like the old like almost patriarch, I would say, of them, who is pretty much just like into the occult, which, as you do, to then his daughter, who's kind of like the way they kind of describe her as almost like a like she was a crack addict and she's just getting off of it, so she's still kind of skittish.
Crack addict. All right. So she's
going
through it.
Yeah. I mean, she's not on drugs, but it's the way they kind of say it. But she has a kid, and this kid starts rapidly aging. Like in the story they said like he looked like he was 10 by the time that he was actually 4 years old. And then by the time that he hit like 12, he already looked like he was an adult.
Wow.
So yeah, he's like growing rapidly. So they're like, yeah, this is kind of weird. Yeah. And then, yeah, halfway through the story, something happens. I won't say it. But it's just like, oh well, oh boy. And it's like, whoa, how? I guess that's the end there. And then they just went, nope. And so then something happens in the town, and yeah, it just gets nuts. And the ending for that, it's not like the other stories where it's just like, oh wow, that kind of that sucks, but it's more of a like, yay, we did it, but we still got to process what happened, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really hard to process anything with H.P. Lovecraft. I'll be honest with you. I'm still thinking about the Call of Cthulhu to this day.
If you enjoyed this clip, be sure to listen to the full episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe for more from the cinematic duo.